Hi, welcome to fourth session of June 19th video classes. So in this, I'll be explaining the most important concept which is related to monetary policy in Indian context. So, for example, if you're dealing with monetary policy majorly deals with inflation controlling measures. So for that, it has to control flow of money in the markets. Flow of money in the markets means flow of money in the banking system. So our focus point is banking in India. So whenever you have this word banking in India, try to classify it into number of ways. For example, the very first point is related to history of banking. History of banking in Indian context means history of banking in ancient India, banking in medieval India, banking in British India, banking after 1947. So whenever you have this history of banking in Indian context, you are supposed to divide it into four parts. For example, this is first part, this is second part, this is third part, and this is fourth part. So history of banking in Indian context means banking in ancient India. Any banking kind of thing is there in ancient India. If it is there, we will deal with it. Banking in or economy in medieval India. Yes, banking in medieval India, it is there. Next, British India. Banking after 1947 to till date. That means independent India. Banking in independent India. So that is history part. And the second part will be related to types of banks. That means you are classifying the banking system. You can classify banks in two categories based on their function, based on their establishment. So banks can be classified into broadly into two categories based on the functions of the bank and based on the establishment of the bank. So after dealing with history of banking and after dealing with types of banks, now we are supposed to go through Reserve Bank of India in detail because it is a central bank. Whatever the controlling measures are there with respect to banking system, it is the one which takes care of controlling banking system. So we are supposed to learn everything about RBI. And the fourth one will be reforms in Indian banking system after 1947. Fifth one is related to all committees in banking. Almost this concept and this concept appears similar, but there is a small difference. Sixth one is related to, for example, we will be having various definitions and various acronyms. For example, simple acronym RBI, Reserve Bank of India. So such kind of acronyms we will deal. So here we have acronyms. Now the seventh one is related to all important definitions. And eighth one will be related to present issues in banking system. So in total, we have 8 points related to banking in India. The very first one is related to history of banking, where we will be focusing on ancient India banking, medieval India banking, and banking in British India, and banking in India after 1947. And in second one, we will be dealing with the classification of banks. For example, if you have some sort of basics in banking, you will be knowing about public sector commercial banks, private sector commercial banks, and foreign banks, cooperative banks. Likewise, so many types of banking system is there. So that's why we broadly classifying banks on the basis of their work, their mode of work, that means function, and on the basis of their establishment. And then third one we'll be dealing RBI completely. When you are dealing the RBI means you are knowing in detail about RBI Act 1934, Banking Regulation Act 1949. So likewise, whatever the acts are there, we will deal with those acts also here. In fourth one, we have reforms in Indian banking. That means first nationalization of banking, second nationalization of banking, priority sector lending, lead bank scheme, recapitalization of banks, merging of banks, consolidation of banks, so everything. And fifth one, we have various committees. For example, you have Narasimhan Committee 1 recommendations, Narasimhan Committee 2, Usha Thorat Committee recommendations, Bimal Jalan Committee recommendations, Urjit Patel Committee recommendations, S. Padmanabhan Committee recommendations, Nariman Committee recommendations, Sivaraman Committee recommendations, and Chakravarti Committee recommendations. Likewise, so much you have here. And here you have acronyms. Sixth one is related to acronyms. For example, CTS, check truncation system, MICR, magnetic ink character recognition, what is RTGS, what is NEFT, what is IMPS, etc., etc., what is SARFA-AC Act, SARFA-AC expansion. So everything will be part of acronyms. After acronyms, we'll focus on definitions. What is bank rate, what is bank base rate, what is repo rate, what is reverse repo rate, what is SLR, what is CRR, what are core reserves, what are revaluation reserves. So everything will be there in definitions. Finally, we will conclude banking system with present issues in banking system. So there are 8 points: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 1. History of banking. 2. Types of banks. 3. A complete analysis of Reserve Bank of India. 4. Reforms in Indian banking system. 5. The various committees since independence in banking. 6. Various acronyms in banking system. 7. Various definitions in banking system. 8. All present issues in banking system, like non-performing assets, like bad loans, like stressed assets, like bad functioning of public sector banks, the need of revitalization of regional rural banks, why the merging of public sector commercial banks is taking place, why the SWIFT mechanism has failed somewhat with respect to letter of understanding. So all these are present issues in banking system. So this is all about banking system in India. By this, you will be starting at banking in ancient India. That means whatever the banking system is there in, for example, the credit should be given to Mauryans actually, because they are the ones who introduced first negotiable instruments in India called Adesha. So ancient India to present issues. So this is 1, 1, and this is 8. So we will be starting with banking in ancient India. We will deal all the things and we will end up at present issues in banking system. Thank you. In my next session, I will be dealing with the history of banking in India. Thank you.